Okay, I'm Daniel. I wrote a little script or collection of bash commands and a Python UI to optimize scanned PDF documents. My use case is basically I've got these um, classical music pieces in the public domain, and what I want to do is remove all these scanning artifacts like page borders, like the colored background. And I really want to increase the contrast and the size of these music notes. Because if I printed it like this, your A4 page would cover all of this extra white space around the margins. But what I want to do is maximize the actual size of these notes. So, I mean, you can see how we can do some cropping here, and some pages may be slightly rotated, so we can derotate them. Pages may be skewed. I mean, this particular file seems pretty consistent. Um, but yeah, let's see how we go. So how the scripts work. First, we will split this PDF. It's 32 pages. We'll split it into individual files containing 5 pages. To do this, so this is the repository here. Let me show you in file. So you've got a couple of Python scripts, um, the split script, which we use first, and yeah, it's like 5 or 6 steps. You need a Linux machine. Unfortunately, it's not written for Windows. Just running it on my server. But yeah, I'll try and keep this video short, so let's get into it. So first command is the split script. Let's run that. I've got my terminal here. I already renamed the file to be input.pdf. Um, yeah, just rename yours and paste it in this directory here. Saves you editing my source code. Just rename it and you'll be fine. So let's run this split.sh, and you'll find it generates a number of files in this directory, PDF split. Yeah, so you see 7 files created for those 32 pages, and the last one contains only 2 pages. This is validated. Yeah, that's right. So I'm splitting it first, so we can use a really fun command called parallel to run these concurrently on Linux and make better use of memory and CPU and do different cores, multi-threading. So the next command, so we did step number 1. Step number 2 is to convert these PDFs into individual PNG files. So we'll use this command. It's just going to look at the PDF split directory, and for each file it'll run um, the ImageMagick convert command, and it's looking at each file, converting it to PNG. So let me start this off. One thing to notice, you can set the maximum number of threads using -J. My CPU is 6 cores, 12 threads, so I set it to 7. I found that's the best use. If I set it to 8, it runs out of memory. So this is like optimal for my machine and system specs. So I can show you. This is the server. You can see how 7 CPUs are in use. You can see in a minute the memory will go up, and if we look at the processes, you can see this is my terminal here. You can see 7 instances of convert running in parallel, and it's quite satisfying to see this. Actually, I've spent some time tuning this and like how do you make best use of these cores. So you see now it's read all those PDFs and it's starting to convert them to PNGs, and you can see our memory is increasing. Um, Originally, I tried to use ImageMagick's built-in multi-threading, but I found it used 20 gigs of memory, and it didn't really scale. So I found the best way is to split the PDF into multiple smaller files and then use parallel to run these in parallel. Let me see. Yeah, so it's still running. During the conversion process, I set the density to 600 to make sure we're not losing any detail in the scanned PDF pages. So what it means is, I should mention, so it's placing those files in this directory here. And you can see, oh yeah, they're quite big, 26 megabytes each. But you can see how it's looked at each file and converted the 5 pages to PNG files. Now this is network storage, so it's taking a little time to load all this information. Let's see if it's done. It is done. Okay. This is just a sample file, so I don't actually want to convert the whole thing. For purposes of this example, I'm just going to delete these to speed up the next commands. So you wouldn't do this, obviously. Let me get rid of them and move on to the next step. So we've got PNG files for each page now in our input PDF. The next step is to use the Python user interface, which I created. It's very basic, but it does the job. Basically, what it allows you to do is to crop these page borders and things like this artifact up here, scanning artifacts, like sometimes looks like there's some stains on the pages. That sort of stuff you can crop out, and I'll show you how that works. So you just run this python show.py file, and it gives you this interface. I mean, it's not the prettiest one, but it does the job. So you use your arrow keys. You press left arrow to increase the left margin. That's what I'm doing right now. And all I'm trying to do is get rid of those scanning artifacts. Because the ImageMagick, it won't be able to know like what is the scanning artifacts and what is the content you're really interested in. So we have to do this manually. And because I'm recording, it's a bit slow. Yeah. Yeah, it's very slow because I'm recording in OBS. But I'm just pressing the arrow keys. Now I'm pressing the up arrow key and it increases that crop margin at the top. If you want to decrease it for some reason, you can hold down Shift and it decreases that red box there, indicating the crop margin. Let's try and get this to cover the page, and the bottom one we need to increase a little bit just to get rid of that page border. Maybe decrease the left one, so I'm holding down Shift left arrow key just to decrease that a bit, because in the bottom left hand corner there's some writing which we may want to preserve. Alright, so I won't go through all the pages, there's 5 pages, but you can use these buttons to apply the same crop settings to all pages. So I'm just going to do that now. But if you've got like a scanned book and all your like margins for even pages is the same, you can just apply to even pages. If all your for your right facing pages your margins are the same, apply to odd pages. You can apply to remaining and reply to any pages that you haven't touched. But yeah, so now we press spacebar, which takes us to page number 2, and you should see it's applied the same crop margin. Yeah, I mean, you'll find it'll be a lot more responsive when you use it, but because I'm recording, it's a little bit slow. Yeah, okay, so that's the tool. Now that we've done that, we save these crop settings to a CSV file by clicking this button, and you'll find it creates a crop args.csv file. So this contains the final output dimensions of your image and how to offset the window. So anyways, you don't need to understand this. It's just the ImageMagick input parameter. It contains the original file and what to call the output file. Okay. Okay, so we can exit this, and we just completed step number 2. So again, it's important to note all you want to do here is get rid of like scanning artifacts. It's not necessary to crop white borders because the ImageMagick convert can do that automatically. You can tell it to do that using the trim command. So I'll show you what that looks like. Hopefully we get a good example. But the next step, we did number 3 too. So we got the crop arcs file. The next step is to apply the crops and apply the color threshold to remove the background, increase contrast. We want to deskew it and make sure all the pages are rotated perfectly. And we want to trim any white space. So let's run this command. And again, it's using the parallels command. Let me go to my terminal here. It's very satisfying to use this. It's using 6 instances and it's using the column separator comma because it's a CSV file. And then you can use the values in your CSV file using these placeholders here. So it's a very powerful command. But yeah, so that's done. If we look at the, yeah, a little bit of a spike, nothing too impressive. It's only 5 pages anyway. So next thing, we look at the output. So you find the output directory contains a final file for each one. And if we compare them, you see that's the input and that's the output. Okay, so it's cropped all those page borders, this dark area up here. It has applied a color threshold, so any pixel that's like on a scale of pure white to black, any pixel that's 80% black or higher is set to pure black pixel. Any pixel that's less than 80% black is set to white. And just look at this one here. I mean, there's not much content on this page. It's the back of the book, I guess, or like cover, inside cover. This page, it's kind of boring. Not a very good example. Okay, we have one good page here. So you see it has applied the crop. Probably should have spent more time cropping this thing, these dark areas. And this is not a very good example, but in the blog post, I posted a very good example of what the optimized output might look like. But your next step is to convert these final.png files back to PDF, and we'll copy and paste this command here. That's very quick. And we have PDF files. We open them up. Okay, and next step, we need to merge these. So I found the best way to do it is just to use PDF-SAM. I tried to create a script for it, but again, I ran into ImageMagick's memory issues where it used a ridiculous amount of memory to do a very simple task. So I gave up, to be honest, and I'm just going to use PDF-SAM to do it. If you have one thing to be a little bit careful is your page order. Let me navigate to my directory first. So when you select your pages, make sure it's ordered correctly in this file selection dialog, because that's the order PDF SAM will use. And I noticed that PDF SAM, because of these file numbers, it screws up the orders, unfortunately, if you reorder it in here. Yeah, so that's in there. Now that's it, just merge it. In a second, it's done. And there's your final file containing optimized PDF pages of your scanned document. Yeah. So in my other examples, I measured this distance here, the actual size of nodes, and using this optimization process, I was able to increase the size of these stuffs by 10.7% just by getting rid of white borders and things like that. The most time-consuming part of this is cropping the pages using that Python show.py command. Yeah, so that might take 15 minutes to do it. But I think the output is worth it. And again, I'll show you some much better examples in the blog post. This one is quite noisy, unfortunately. I think that's it. Thank you. Bye.